Is the screen visible, student?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
so last day we were discussing about structure, how to define a structure data types, then how to declare variable of structure data types, how to assign values to different members of a structure variables, and then how to access those data members. All these we have discussed with few examples. I know you must have written the program which I asked you yesterday, and also how to access the data member using a pointer to a structure variable or a address to a structure variables using a different operation only, otherwise there is no difference. The operator will be changed from dot to arrow, and before that, after that, we'll have the same. Before that, we'll have the address. After that, we'll have the same. We discussed how to copy one structure from another. All this and this pointer possibly will not, time will not permit to discuss how to create a linked list using this. I normally discuss this. Don't worry. Now coming to union. So like structure, union is also one type of user-defined data types. In a structures, the definition you all know, we define a new data type with some name like stock, student, struct, class, or struct, let's say country, and the data members can be a simple variable or of inbuilt data type or a variable of a structured data types. We started with the data members can be simple inbuilt data types, and then we went the variable can also be the data member can be a variable of another structured data types. That could also be possible. Similarly, if you look at the from definition of the data type, both are same. Definition there, we start with a struct, name of the data types, not the name of the variable, name of the data types, and followed by bracket, inside bracket, data members. Same thing is also here. Only difference is that in place of struct, we write down union. In place of struct, we write down union. But the difference here is that data type definition or union data type definition has no existence in the main memory. The data type definition, be it a structure, be it a union, be it a int, be it a char, be it a float, has no existence in the main memory. The main memory existence will be there for only the variables of integer type, variable of float type, or variable of a structure type, or variable of a union types. Then we will find the existence in the main memory when we declare a variable of some data types, be it a integer, be it a char, be it a float, be it a struct, be it a union. The accessing method is also same. Union as compared to structure. How do I access every data member of union? Two operators are used. One can be dot, one can be arrow. Dot is used in case of accessing the data member using the name of the variable. But if I'm using a pointer pointing to the variable, if I'm using a pointer pointing to the union, I'll be using an arrow operators. Same thing. Many of the things you'll find out same. Union with structure. Similarity. Similarity starting from data type definitions, more or less same, except the reservoir struct and union. Declaration of the variables of structure type are same, only the reservoir struct and unions are different. Accessing the data members are same. In this case, you'll write down the name of the structure variable dot data members. Here you'll write down the name of the union variable dot name of the data members. We listen to the similarity. What the dissimilarity? The dissimilarity is that all data members of the structures for any variable of the structures appears in the memory. If I say a structure has Suppose we have a structure in the name std and which has, let's say, data member 1, data member 2, data member 3. There's 3 data members. In case of a structure, all these 3 data member will have existence in the main memory for every structure variable. If I have structure variable of, let us say, one is S1, one is S2, then if you look at the memory for S1, there will be existence for all these 3 data members D1, D2, D3. For S2 also, there will also be existence for the data member D1, D2, D3. If the data member D1 is of 2 bytes, D2 is of 4 bytes, and D3 is of 8 bytes, then the minimum size of the structure variable S1 and S2, the minimum size will be how much?
14.
Yes, 14. Minimum size will be 14. Is it exactly 14 or minimum 14?
Minimum 14.
Minimum 14.
Minimum 14. Can be also 16 bytes. Minimum 14 bytes in case of structures. However, there are students who tries to disturb in my class. They disturb through my phone. Students normally try to disturb me through my phone. They call during my class intentionally, or they will. So I have to block them. So now the point is, this happens in case of structures. But in case of union, if it has 3 data members, in the main memory, at any instance of time, one of the data member will only appear. It can either be D1 or D2 or D3. All 3 data member will never appear. No 2 data member never appears. Only 1 data member appears in the main memory at any instance of times. So in this case, can I store a 2-byte data in a 4-byte place?
No, sir.
Question is very simple. Can I write a 25, a 2-digit number in a 4-digit place? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How do I write? Can anyone suggest?
Regular to 5.
Can I write down a 3-digit number in a 4-digit place?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Reverse question. Can I write a 6-digit number in a 4-digit place?
No, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
No.
Now, if at any instance of time it can either be D1 or D2 or D3 and the sizes are 2 byte, 4 byte and 8 bytes, how many minimum bytes of space should be available so that any one of the data can be stored? Is it 2 byte, 4 byte or 8 byte?
8 byte.
Minimum जो ज़्यादा है बोलेंगे.
It should be 8 byte. If 8 byte of space is allocated, I can store D1, agreed or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Or mutual exclusive, or I can store
D2 also.
D2 also.
or
D3 also.
D3.
agreed or not?
Yes, sir.
So now, with this, Aman, can you tell what should be the maximum size of the main memory to store an union variable? Should it be sum of all variables or all data members? Or should be the size of the largest data member?
Largest data member.
Very good. You have made a correct analysis. Size of the largest data member will be allocated for every union variable, and that largest size can accommodate the smaller data members. So at any instance of time, we'll only see 1 data member of union variables, not more than that. Up to this, Amarjit understood? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So this is the only difference And many similarity I told, rest of the things are basically similarity. Declarations I told, union definition. I can declare union data, that it has 3 data members, I, F and str, and I have defined 2 variables D1 and D2. This way, other way, I can put a semicolon and declare union data DATA. Understood it, yes or no?
Yeah.
Aman, if I can access every data member, yes or no? Amarjit?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I can
sir.
write down data.I assigns to 10. I can write down data.f assigns to this. I can write down data.str equal to C programming. And right now, after this, if I want to write a printf statement, printf, %s, sorry, and here data dot str. What it will print on the screen?
C programming.
Oh,
C
very
programming.
good, very good. If you have understood this, suppose I write a statement after this printf, %d data.I.
10.
10.
Will I get 10 or it will give an error? It will give a garbage value.
Percentage D.
That I want to explain. Look at this.
So why garbage value?
I'm coming. I'm explaining. When I told I am explaining, you will say why. Why I am going to explain. How many union variables I declared here?
Sir. 3, sir.
नहीं कहाँ ये छोड़ दो
One है sir.
यहाँ पे 1.
One.
ठीक सही बोले. Now a memory will be allocated. How much memory space will be allocated to this union variable? If I say, let me say, each integer takes 2 bytes, each float takes 4 bytes, each character takes 1 byte. So how much?
20 bytes. 20.
Very good. So 20 bytes will be allocated. Let me say these are the bytes like this. 20 bytes are allocated. Is it understood to everyone in the class? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One thing I want to ask, sir.
Yes.
When you are like accessing the value for data.I and data.f,
Yes.
so sir, when we are doing it for the char array data.str, sir, we don't have to give the colon, sir, like we have given in data.I and f. Just confirming it. Is it a mistake or?
Why? It's not a mistake. I'm giving a string. A string can be assigned like this way.
Okay, sir. Okay.
It's 20 bytes. Now look at this. So in the 20 bytes of space, can I keep I, F and str all, or I can only keep one?
Only 1.
All.
I can still keep all at a time or one at a time?
One at a time.
One at a time. So if I exist, does F exist?
No, sir.
No. If F exists, does I exist?
No, sir.
No, sir.
If str exists, does either I or F exist?
No,
sir.
Very good. If you look at the memory allocation, you will find out this. What do you find out? Let's say I takes 2 bytes. In the first 2 bytes, I will be stored. Understood it?
Yes, sir.
Or tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In the
Yes,
first
sir.
4 bytes, F will be stored. And in the first 20 bytes, this programming will be stored. Now, in this memory overwriting occurs. When I wrote data.I equal to 10, where 10 will appear in all location or in the first location 10 will be stored?
First.
In the first 2 location, you will get a combination of zeros and ones, which will give an integer value 10. Understood it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Suppose I write then data.f 34.72. 34.72, if I write in binary, it's a combination of 32 bits. Understood it? What is the combination? I don't want to say right now. You'll study it in architecture, how a floating point number is represented. It's a combination of zeros and ones. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nikhil, this combination of zeros and ones, is it 10 or is it 34.72?
34.72.
Very good. This 30.42, where it will be stored? Will it be stored in the next location or in the first 4 bytes?
First 4 bytes.
First 4 bytes, sir.
So when it will be stored, this combination of 1, 0, 1, 1 like this 32 bit will be stored in first 2 bytes or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, if I write an expression after this, suppose I'll write down an expression, it is a variable b, I'll write down b assigned to data.i.
सर किसी का माइक ऑन है सर.
अरे माइक
क्या करें भाई किसी को स्टूडेंट सिमरन राय पॉसिबल योर माइक इज ऑन करके हाँ सिमरन यस इज इट ऑडिबल नाउ
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Nikhil, try to see what I'm writing. Amarjit, I wrote b is an integer variable. I'm writing data I assigns to b. Look at this. Data I, which was 10 earlier, has been overwritten by a binary combinations for the value this. Now, if I want to read, I will read. Which location I will read? Any location or I will read first 2 location?
First 2.
First 2 location.
If I read the first location, will that binary combination gives a value 10 or may not necessarily be 10?
May not necessarily be 10.
Yes, Amarjit, Aman. May not necessarily be 10. It could be some other combination, maybe giving a integer value like 29, 30 like this. Agreed or not?
Yes, sir.
And that value will be coming for the least significant 16 bit of the floating point number representation or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So will you get the correct value 10 where we have stored the data number for I after overwriting?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Same way. Again, I'm asking a question. So then I'll be writing data.str consists of 20 characters. In the first position, what would be stored? Can anyone say? C or ASCII value of C?
ASCII value of C.
ASCII value of capital C will be stored. In the next location, what will be stored? ASCII value of a space.
Yes.
ASCII value of space.
Next location, what will store? ASCII value of
E.
Very good. If you have understood this, in this way, if I go on storing all these 20 locations, here ASCII value of C, ASCII value of blank, ASCII value of P. Now, if I write down again the same integer variable equal to data dot I, here ASCII value of C, कुछ किसको याद है ASCII value of C? 99 कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है ये गलत बोलने से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है मैं पेनल्टी नहीं हुआ 99 है now if I assign this what would be the value of B will it be 10 or 99
99.
99.
it will not be exactly 99 again let me say it will be a combination of these two locations or not
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
so ASCII value of this oh sorry here the ASCII value of 99 is a binary combination or not
Yes,
and ASCII value of blank is also a binary combination.
yes.
So these 8-bit and 8-bit combinedly 16-bit will be giving some integer data, maybe let's say 197. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So do you understand why we'll not be getting the correct data? It will be because overwritten by another data.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let me say, after this, if I write down data dot I equal to 20, and I want to read this as a character, will I get C?
No, sir.
No, sir. अब समझ में आया क्यों नहीं मिलेगा? Yes, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Because when we go for a writing operation, it is overwritten, therefore will not get it. Will not get it. We'll get some garbage value, so unexpected value basically over here. So now coming back to this, all this what I discussed is basically being written over here. In this case, if I declare a structure variable S1, here I'm declaring a union variable S1. If each integer text 2 byte, character text 1 byte, float text 4 bytes. The size of the memory allocated to this will be 4 bytes. But in this case, will it be 4 bytes or at least 7 bytes?
At least 7. 7 bytes.
At least 7.
At least 7 bytes.
Yeah. So the data is roll number is stored, gender is stored, marks is stored like this. But here will they be stored like this, or roll number, same place, gender, and from same marks will be started?
The same place.
Same
So
place.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. So whichever I write, that will be the latest data over here. The latest data depends upon what I am writing at the end. Look at this. I wrote roll number, then I am writing marks, then I want to display roll number. Will it display 20 or some garbage value?
Some garbage value.
Garbage value. I'm giving a small example. Let me say with respect to this. Let me say this integer is roll number, and this a float is also sorry. Very interesting. Let me say. Oh, ये हो गया क्या बताओ हाँ आ रहे डोंट वरी दिख रहा है स्क्रीन
हाँ सर
Sir.
look at this look a simple situation roll number is int your mark is also int समझ में है
Yes, sir.
now I have a variable s1 I wrote s1 तुम्हारा roll number है 90 ठीक है ये लिख दिया मैंने यहां मार्क लिखा था इससे पहले s1 डॉट मार्क इक्वल टू 65 अब अगर मैंने प्रिंटफ करूं इफ आई राइट प्रिंटफ परसेंटेज डी s1 डॉट मार्क्स will it print 65 or 90 can anyone say
90, sir.
yes
90
yes अब समझ में है अमन कैसे हो रहा है ये चीज
Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
बिकॉज उसी जगह में तो 90 लिखा गया है इफ आई विल रीड इवन इफ आई रीड मार्क्स इट विल गिव 90 एंड इफ आई आल्सो रीड द जेंडर इट विल बी गिविंग अ कैरेक्टर हु इज आस्किंग वैल्यू 90 और नॉट
Yes
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
so these are basically I wanted to explain about a union. You can look at an example. Let's say union the member of the union can be a structure variable. I have two structures in the name A and B. I declared a union Z whose members can be a structure variable. Key is a structure variable of A type, data is a structure variable of B type, and I can access those data members by using dot operator. The strange is a variable of Z union type. I can call strange dot key dot I can dot strange dot data d dot 0. I can write down d dot 1 over here. Okay. I wrote 0. Character integer can be declared interchangeably. I could have written this as a character means single quote 0 and single quote something over here. I wrote 032 means they will be treated as integer. No problem. So integer users time नहीं दिखाने का बहुत. Now let's come to enum. Union समझ में आया?
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Enum is another type of user-defined data types. In case, let's have a comparison. In case of structure and union, the data members can either be a predefined data type or a structured data type. Yes or no? अरे समझ आ रहा कि नहीं मैं अंग्रेजी बोलता हूँ so what I say basically in case of a structure maybe std all these data members can be a predefined data types in float. Come on, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Or the member can be a structure variable, a structure data type.
Yes, sir.
Or it can be a pointer data type. But in case of enum it's something different. Same way we'll define enum. We'll define enum data type with a reserved word enum.
Enum
write down the name over here data type.
Yes,
let's say triple X. Then I will define here
members.
the members. But remember that the members here are not predefined data types. They are not predefined data types.
Okay sir.
Okay, so they are simply the value of these data types. If I write down int a, integer has an order set minus something to plus something, but inside this I'll not write down an integer or variable like this. I'll write down basically a name, which is the value of the variable which will be declared of this enum type x1 or x2. If I declare a variable x1 of this type, its values will be available inside this, not their other data types. With example, it will be more clear. Okay, look at this. Example is more clear. I started enum, define a enumerated data types. We'll write down enum as a reserved word. Then the name of the data type or bracket starts. And inside bracket, I will not write down the data number as the name of a variable. It will be value of the variables. It will not be the name of the variable. It is not a variable exactly. It's a value. So means this enum data type, this this enum data type, I give a name, let's say triple X. This triple X can have this value, or this value. These are the values. If we have a variable x1 of this type, what would be the value of x1? It can be
Value 1,
or it can be
value 2,
or it can be value n over years. The order set of values has been defined inside this. So variable which are of enum type x triple x, their values can be the values written inside this bracket. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is for a programmer perspective, but we understand the values. But the real values, the computer representation values of value 1, computer representation is basically by default it starts with 0 and continued with the next value 1, next is 2 like this. Default. Computer will store this value as an integer number 0, next value as an integer number 0 for some arithmetic operations. Computer. But I write down this value as Sunday, Monday, something like this. India, Pakistan like this. But the value, if I write down the value is India, the computer will store the value for India as
0.
If you write in a program as India, you will not write 0. But computer will take the value of India as
0.
Very good. Next, if I am writing Pakistan,
Take the value 1.
when you write value as Pakistan, computer will take the value as
1. 1.
it will continue like this. If I have 10 values, starts from 0, ends at 9. But to say computer not to start from 0, I can tell, no, computer, value assigns to, let me set 20. Then what would the value of 1?
20.
I can say value of 2 as 25.
20.
Then computer will store value of 2 as
25.
and if I do not assign anything to value 2, but value 1 is assigned to 20. So value 1 will be assigned to 20 and next value will be assigned to 21, 22, 23 like this.
Okay, sir.
इसका मतलब ये रहा value 2 will come after value 1. इसलिए 1 बढ़ा रहा है और कोई नहीं. Value 3 comes after value 2. Like this. So this is the basic idea. So basically we are declaring a data type with its values. And there, in case of structure, we tell data types with the values are with variable of one type. In case of structure. भाई structure में ये अंदर में क्या देते थे? एक variable of certain type?
Yes, sir.
And certain type has an order set of value or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But here we don't say a certain type as int or float. We give a name. And the name will have a computer understandable value. Value starts from
0.
next will be 1 by default. But if I assign it to 10, then first value will be 10. If first value is 10, second value should be
11.
If I do not initialize, the second value becomes as 11, 12. So it is basically the next value to that.
Automatically.
Automatically, yes, automatically. So now if I show an example. I wrote enum shoot. बहुत सारे बंगाली है, घोष वगैरह सब तो है. You understand playing cards?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Breeze तो पता होगा.
हाँ sir.
And
Yes, sir.
club, diamond, heart,
Yes, sir.
spades. The points of club is 6, diamond is 7, heart is 8, spade is 9. Many must have understood this. I declared an enum data type with the name suit. I initialize club equal to 6. If I do not initialize, it will also work. If I do not initialize, what would be the value of club? What would be the value of club to be treated by a computer?
Excuse me, sir.
Zero.
Yes.
सर अभी आपने जो इनाम बताया वो नहीं समझ आया.
कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया?
नहीं सर.
Yes, sir. हमको भी नहीं आया.
Yes, sir.
नहीं आ रहा होगा. हाँ, आप सुनो. अब देखो ये एग्जाम्पल समझ में आएगा. I declare and very good. अब एग्जाम्पल के बाद समझ में नहीं आया तो फिर बोलना है. I declared a data type. What is the name of the data type? Can you tell?
Suit.
Yes.
Suit.
Suit is an enum data type. Suit has. Now, if I let me say, if I do not initialize, suit has how many data value?
4.
And what are those data values for a human being? When we write, the data values are club, diamond, heart, and
8.
but computer considers this data value club as
Zero.
diamond as
One.
heart as 2, spade as 3.
3.
But to say no, these are not the data values of club, diamond, heart, spades. Club, diamond, heart, spades have different data values. I can make initialization. Club equal to 6. If I could do only club equal to 6, automatically diamond will become 7, hearts will become 8, this will become 9. I'll come back again after explaining if it's not clear also. I have not declared a variable of suit type. I didn't declare. I only declared a data type and its value. Understood it or not?
Yes sir.
I can say my data type is suit, and what are those values?
6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8.
Club, diamond, heart, spades for programming language for user. For computer understanding, the values are club, diamonds, or values are 6, 7, 8, 9.
6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8.
Very good. Very good. Then I have an enum marital status. I have another data type name is marital status. Marital status can be single, unmarried, married, divorced, or widowed. What would be the value of single considered by the machine?
Zero.
Very good. Very good. Let me explain one thing over here. Suppose I write a variable. I will declare a variable enum suit. I declare name of a player, maybe let us say P1. If I write P1 assigns to, let me say, diamond. So currently, what is the value of P1?
7.
Sir, 7.
Yes, 7. I have another variable, P2. I assign P2 to, let us say, spades. Okay. If I write now P1 is less than P2.
True.
True or false?
True.
True, sir.
Because P1 value is?
So, sir.
7.
Now, suppose I want to write a printf statement. %D. I wrote here P1. What it will print? Diamond or 7?
7.
Very good. If I write P1 plus 1, what it will print?
8.
P1 plus 10, what it will print?
17.
Is it understood?
17.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
समझ में आ रहा है? The
Yes.
computer takes it as an integer. but we consider the values are club, diamond, heart, spades in that way. जिन जिनको समझ में नहीं आया था, नाउ समझ में आया कुछ?
सर आया, लेकिन ये इनम यूज कब करना है?
आ रहा हूं, धीरे धीरे आ रहा हूं। एक साथ सब कुछ नाउ अभी कैन यू डिक्लेयर एनम डाटा टाइप, यस और नो?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अरे जिन्होंने बोला था नहीं उसको तो थोड़ा बोलने दो।
Yes, sir.
यस, अच्छा ठीक है, नहीं बोलने से मैं पकड़ लेता हूं, समझ में आया। So we can declare. Then I will discuss how to define variable also. Let me tell variables how we define. I define the variable. Enum, marital status, person 1, person 2. I assign person 1 assigns to married. If I print person 1, will it print married or it will print 1?
One.
One.
Very good.
One.
Suppose married is initialized to 10. What would the value of single?
9.
No, single will be 0.
Zero.
Married is 10.
Zero.
Divorce will be 11. Widow will be 12.
Yes, sir.
From there
Yes,
it will
sir,
go
yes,
on
sir.
incrementing. आया समझ में?
Yes.
Yes,
तो वो
हाँ बोलो
Follow.
बोलो, पूछो क्या?
सिंगल जीरो असाइंड है।
If I do not initialize explicitly, it will start from 0 and continue till I assign. And whenever I assign, from there it will continue by increasing 1. Understood it or not?
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Person 2 is assigned to single. If I write on person 2 plus 1, what would be the value?
Person 2.
One.
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 वेरी गुड, ये तो सबको समझ में आएगा, फिर आया नहीं क्या? ना आओ, अब देखो कैसे एग्जाम्पल में बता रहा हूं, जो लड़की पूछ रही थी। आई डिक्लेयर डाटा टाइप वीक, और वी कैन से डेज ऑफ ए वीक। नॉर्मली आई कुड हैव टोल्ड द नेम डेज ऑफ ए वीक। अनंत त्रिपाठी, व्हिच इज बेटर, वीक और डेज ऑफ वीक?
Sir, week.
नहीं, डेज ऑफ वीक देने से अमर अच्छा रहता शायद, है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, मैं कर दूंगा, अगले दिन कर दूंगा, ये सब गलत हो गया। डेज ऑफ वीक, व्हाट आर दोस डेज ऑफ ए वीक?
Sunday, Monday,
मंडे इसी सीक्वेंस में आता है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
अरे थोड़ा हाँ बोलो।
Yes, sir.
संडे कौन सा वैल्यू?
जीरो।
Monday will be 1.
One.
Let's come to a program. I declared a variable. What is the name of the variable? Is it week or it is today?
Today, sir.
Today. I initialize today to Wednesday. I want to print today plus 1.
Thursday.
Will it print Thursday or it will print 4?
Four.
It will print 4.
Four, sir.
Yes, sir. Four.
4 day.
Yes, sir. Four.
Is it understood now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Use
Yes,
of this. So suppose today is Wednesday. Tomorrow I can also write down. So let's say I have two variables. Let me say I have two variables. One is T1, one is T2. I can initialize T1 to Wednesday. I can initialize T2 to, let us say, Saturday. I can have a comparison. If T1 is less than T2, and do this. This comparison maker or not?
हाँ सर।
Yes, sir.
अब समझ में आया कहाँ कैसे यूज करोगे?
हाँ सर, समझ में आ रहा है।
ये
Yes,
थोड़ा
sir.
बड़ा एप्लीकेशन में यूज आएगा, बट यू शुड नो व्हाट इज द टाइप ऑफ डिक्लेरेशंस एंड डेफिनेशंस एंड यूज बेसिकली इन ए प्रोग्राम। अंडरस्टूड इट? यस और नो? ये
Yes,
सीखो
sir.
करोगे
Yes, sir.
आज?
Yes.
ये सब छोटा प्रोग्राम। हाँ बोलो।
एनम डेटा टाइप में सिर्फ नंबर ही आउटपुट के सामने आएगा।
नंबर ही आएगा?
टुडे प्लस 1
नहीं वो नहीं आएगा, वेडनेसडे थर्सडे नहीं आएगा। उसको फिर लाने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा?
अरे स्ट्रिंग का इनपुट अगर ले तो स्ट्रिंग का इनपुट लेंगे।
ऐसे भी लोड नहीं आएगा, वो तो इंटीजर में रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, आएगा नहीं।
फिर से लाने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा?
उसको क्या करेंगे फिर? उसको फिर दूसरा तरीके से करना पड़ेगा। वो क्या करेंगे, हम लोग आरे लेंगे, आरे के इंडेक्स 0 1 2 सब कुछ लेंगे, वो पॉइंट करेगा संडे मंडे, तब हो सकता है। ऐसा नहीं होगा।
यहाँ पे
परसेंटेज
नहीं परसेंटेज लेके काम करें। ये तो इंटीजर देगा ना। सी, कंप्यूटर इंटरप्रेट दिस वैल्यूज एज ए स्ट्रिंग और इंटीजर। कंप्यूटर इंटीजर में ही काम करेगा।
तो सर
हमारे देखभाल के लिए दिया गया संडे मंडे, हम उसको देखेंगे संडे मंडे, विल नॉट सी एट 0 1।
सर अगर हम एनएम वीक में अगर हम सेमी कोलन में सारे वर्ड लिखें और मॉड डी की जगह मॉड एस करें तो क्या एरर आएगा?
व्हाट इससे मतलब ही नहीं है. यू डोंट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. दिस इज बेसिकली ए वेरिएबल. यस और नो?
यस सर.
Computer interpret this variable as a integer type or basically a string type.
Integer type.
हाँ, यही तो मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ. Computer interpret this as a integer type, nothing else.
सर
हाँ.
स्ट्रिंग प्रिंट करने के लिए केस ले सकते हैं?
हाँ, स्ट्रिंग के लिए हाँ, वो केस लेके 1 2 करके वो भी कर सकते. That you could do. But computer interpret the value of enum variable as a string or as an integer.
As an integer.
Only integer. So it could do it as an integer. That's all. एस लिखने से थोड़ी ये तो टुडे को ट्रीट कर रहा है इंटीजर जैसे. टुडे का जो वैल्यू है ना, इंटीजर वैल्यू ले रहा है. पर कहां से कहां तक लगता है? 0 से 6 तक लगता है. आया समझ में?
यस सर.
Yes, sir.
सो
सर यही सर अगर यही अपना वेडनेसडे का कोई वैल्यू जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल 4 असाइन होता तो 5 प्रिंट होता ना सर. अगर टुडे
हाँ, जो भी होता +1 होता है.
हाँ, ठीक है सर.
इसके बाद भी +1 होते जाएगा या सिर्फ
हाँ, कोई बात. +10 कर सकते हो.
नहीं सर, जैसे यहाँ पे वेडनेसडे है ना, डायरेक्ट अगर हम T2 थर्सडे को प्रिंट करना चाहे, मतलब थर्सडे का क्या
थर्सडे प्रिंट नहीं होगा. थर्सडे को भी प्रिंट नहीं होगा. थर्सडे का इंटीजर वैल्यू प्रिंट होगा. कंप्यूटर डजंट इंटरप्रेट दिस एज थर्सडे. कंप्यूटर स्टोर्स इट एज इंटीजर्स. कंप्यूटर का पास क्या है मैं बोल देता हूं. वीक का मतलब है, ओह सॉरी, कंप्यूटर के पास क्या है वो नहीं समझ रहे तुम लोग. कंप्यूटर के पास 0 1 2 अप टू 6 है.
हाँ सर, वो तो समझ लिया.
कंप्यूटर और हाई लेवल रिप्रेजेंटेशन यही है. वो जब लिखोगे ना टुडे इट इज कंपाइल्ड टू बेसिकली इट्स वैल्यू. क्या वैल्यू है?
3.
उसी पे काम चलता है. यूजर के लिए ये सब है.
रैंडम डेटा टाइप में सिर्फ मतलब इंटीजर
इंटीजर होता है. इंटीजर. ठीक है.
यस सर.
अरे हाँ बोले से आगे थोड़ा बोलो. मतलब क्या?
यस सर.
सर इसका यूज किया है कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेज में?
यही तो यूज दिखाया मैंने. कंपैरिजन मैंने बोला एक चीज. अगर मंडे ट्यूसडे से आगे आता है तो फिर मेरे को ये करना चाहिए. आई डू दिस दैट दिस. बड़ा बड़ा प्रोग्राम लिखने से इसका यूज ज्यादा आएगा. ठीक है. छोटा सा एप्लीकेशन दिखा दिया.
यस सर. यस.
नाउ लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Now, dynamic memory allocations is a very important topic. Today I have to finish. Okay. So dynamic memory allocations. In case of an array is basically static. Many a time you have raised also question against this array. Suppose I declare an array of size 10 or 20. I declare a character array of size, let us name, and 20. And while I'm giving the name in my scanf statement, the name crosses 20 characters. Then it will go up to 20 and rest of the characters will not be taken. So then how to come out of this problem? Then somebody may say, sir, ये name वगैरह जब हम लेते हैं, sir 20 नहीं लेंगे, 200 ले लेंगे. ठीक है? You may take. But the problem here is that if the names are only 5 to 10 characters, many a time which happens, so I will be wasting 190 number of character position in the main memory or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if I'm getting small, sometimes problem is created and the name become big. If I'm getting big, then many a time what happens, most of the memories are wasted or not.
Yes.
So therefore we will go for a dynamic allocations. I can store the same name string. I can store an array. I can store a two-dimensional array also. But I'll go for a dynamic allocations. And if I go for a dynamic allocations, I have to have a pointer variable which is static. I have to have a pointer variable pointing to either one character or one integer, doesn't matter. But I should have a pointer variable, which is static. So at the time of executing my program, if I feel my name will be of 20 characters, so I will be requesting the operating system to allocate 20 number of character size in the main memory. If each character is 1 byte, allocate 20 bytes, and the first byte, first location address must be returned, which I can store inside a pointer variable. And once I store it, I can access all location available using the PTR or not.
Yes.
If PTR is pointing to the first location, I can access all these 20 locations or not.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what happens during execution of the program, our program will request the operating system to allocate certain number of memory location continuously. Certain, because my objective is to use it as an array, and I can use it as an array provided the memory locations are available contiguously or discontiguously.
Continuously.
Contiguously. So that is why OS will allocate the number of memory locations contiguously. And to do this, I can make use of a malloc or calloc functions. Stands for memory allocations. calloc stands for contiguous allocations. Both are contiguous. So memory allocation, malloc, calloc, there's just a little bit difference. I'll discuss this. And because I'm accessing dynamically, when I feel that this much of memory is no more required in my program, I can also make it free, delink it from my pointer so that this much of space can be utilized for some other purposes by using a free command. And reallocate, I will tell later on. Possibly not in this class, sometime in the future, we'll discuss it in the data structure class. Or it will become complicated. So today I'll discuss malloc, calloc, and a free commands. So the objective of malloc, calloc is to allocate certain number of memory location during execution of the programs, and free is used to make the allocation free once we no more require those memory locations. So let me discuss malloc, then I'll come to calloc. So if you look at the malloc, the syntax is malloc and size how many bytes you need. As I told in dynamic allocation, I have to declare a pointer variable which must be pointing to, if it is pointing to an integer, I must be supplying a set of memory location where each is an integer, and this pointer will be pointing to the first location of an integer. Look at this. How do I do this? This must be declared statically in the program. So malloc size in bytes. Suppose I wrote here 100 and each integer takes 2 bytes. How many integer space the system will allocate?
200. 200.
नहीं, दोबारा सुनो. I wrote 100 inside a bracket and each integer is of 2 bytes. Each integer
50.
2 bytes. So then it allocates how many integer space?
50.
Very good. It allocates 50 integer space. If each integer takes 1 byte, it allocates how many integer space?
100.
Very good. If 4 bytes, 25. All have understood this. Very good. So depending upon the number of integer I would like to access, I'll write down here the bytes. Suppose I do not know size of integer in a system. It varies from system to system. Are you agree to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If it varies from system to system, but I want 50 integer space. If integer takes 1 byte, I should get how many bytes?
50.
50 bytes.
If integer takes 2 bytes, I should get
100.
100.
very good. I do not know the size of this, but I want 50 integer to be stored over here. How to do this? I will write down in size of byte. I'll write down here a number 50 into size of int. Size of int is an operator, looks like a function. Looks like a function, it's an operator. If I write size of int, the system will return The size of an integer, if it is 2 byte, returns 2. If it is 4 byte, returns 4. So if I write this, I will be getting 50 integer space or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Irrespective of bothering, whether I got 100 memory location or 200 memory location?
Yes, sir.
Is it understood? Tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Very good. My next question here is, we'll write down this, and a pointer must be there, which will be pointing to starting address of the space which was allocated. This malloc function will always return the starting address of the memory space which was allocated. The memory space could be 200 contiguous bytes. I can write down 200 or 100, whatever. The starting address is supplied, and this starting address is a void address. That address, is it address of an integer? No. Is it address of a char? No. Is it address of a float? Double? No. It's address of a void. However, in the left-hand side, which I have written a PTR, this PTR in our program must be declared as, let's say, int star of PTR. What does it mean? Amarjit, Nikhil, इसका मतलब क्या है? Int star of PTR मतलब क्या है?
So points to an integer variable.
The pointer should point to an integer, a point to an address which is holding integer. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
It
Yes.
should point to an address which is holding an integer. This should be the objective, I will say.
Yes.
But the address which has been returned by this, is it point address to an integer?
No, sir.
It is addressed to? It is addressed to?
Void.
So I will be using a type casting which will cast this address to integers, which will cast this address to integer. And what is the casting to address to an integer?
Int.
Int star is addressed to integer. Char star is addressed to?
Character.
Float star is addressed to?
Decimal.
Floating
Oh,
point.
very good.
Decimal value.
Very good. Now, if I cast, suppose my address, suppose this is written, I want my address should be addressed to 5 integer. Address to 5 group integer. So what should I write inside this? It should be in star of
5.
Understood it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Aman, if I write in star, is addressed to single?
Yes, sir.
And yes, sir, it is addressed to single integer or not?
Yes, sir.
If I write in star 5,
5
address to?
integers.
Very good, very good. Now, I want to tell one thing over here. Suppose I wrote, look at my declaration. I declared int star of p. I have a pointer variable in that case, which is pointing to integers. I wrote here malloc 100 into size of float. Malloc, and I wrote int star. Look at this. If size of float is 4 bytes, how many contiguous bytes will be returned by this?
25.
25.
आराम से देखो. 100, I have written 100 into size of
400.
400.
Is it understood by everyone? It will allocate 400 bytes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. If yes, Nikhil, the address which has been written, is it addressed to a float or addressed to void?
Address to
Address to void.
Oh, very good. Has no relation what I'm writing here. Has no relation what I'm writing here. Address to void. But now this,
को चेंज करके int से float कर
Wait,
दे.
रुको ना.
कुछ भी लिख सकते हो, float, char, anything.
नहीं सर, इधर जो आपने कास्ट किया था ना int है ना, वहाँ कास्ट में अगर फ्लोट कर दे तब तो सर यहाँ
नहीं,
पे
आ रहा हूँ मैं आ रहा हूँ. एक तो मतलब राइट हैंड से बताया, मैं लेफ्ट हैंड से आ रहा हूँ. अमरजीत, मैं आ रहा हूँ. निखिल, मैं आ रहा हूँ. धीरे-धीरे आ रहा हूँ. So now Amarjit told this will be addressed to void. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My left hand side, if I write on P assigns to this, my left hand side pointer is addressed to a word or addressed to an integer.
Address to integer.
I'll write down int star, so that this word address will be converted to
Integer.
initialization will occur. With this initialization, how many integer I can access? Can anyone say? If integer size is 2 byte.
200.
200.
Oh,
200.
very nice. Integer size is 2 bytes. How many integer space I can access?
200.
200.
Very good. Is it understood? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't matter what I'm writing here. I'm writing float doesn't mean that this will be assigned to a float. May not be. Syntactically, it's correct. Float means, size of float means it returns 4 only. That's all. No relation with what address is returned. And it will be multiplied. After multiplication, it comes out to be 400. It gives 400 contiguous bytes. If this float takes 8 bytes, it gives
800.
800 contiguous bytes. And whether those contiguous bytes will be used as address to single integer, multiple integer, that depends what casting you are using. Understood? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's go
Yes,
to
sir.
some examples. I declare a pointer variable here. This pointer is variable is pointing to one integer or multiple integer?
One integer.
One integer. I wrote int star malloc 100. How many memory bytes will be allocated?
100.
100 bytes.
50.
If each integer takes 2 bytes, how many integer spaces are allocated?
50.
50.
50.
If each integer takes 4 bytes,
25.
25.
yes, it returns first address, and I need to do a casting for this or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Again, I declared int star ptr. I do not know actually size of integer. I thought 1 byte there, that's why I put this. I want 100 integer space I require. I do not know size of integer. I could use like this or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
100 into size of int, then I write malloc, then ptr point to this. So will it allocate 200 bytes or 400 bytes? It depends upon size of each integer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I declare like this. Here I write size of char. Size of char is 1 byte. So 100 bytes will be allocated. But I need to do a casting with the left hand side variable. If the left hand side variable is asking for address to integer, my casting should be address to integer or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And that I did. It's not that, sir, आपने यहाँ character लिखा, यहाँ char star लिखना पड़ेगा. No. Let's come to a problem. A small problem. Allocate elements dynamically to a pointer variable, assign data and find sum of all elements to this point using pointer variable. I declare a pointer variable. My initial sum is 0. I use a counter I. Enter the number of elements to be stored. N. I can give N5, I can give N10. I wrote PTR assigns to int star malloc N into size of int. ये समझ में आया कि नहीं आया बोलो?
हाँ, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, अब ये पिक्चर समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
प्रथम समझ में आया पिक्चर निखिल?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pointer is pointed to the first integer. How can I access these integers? By writing PTR plus 0 plus 1 star, or I can
Yes.
write PTR bracket 0 bracket 1 or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Both are applicable. Can you assign values to all elements using PTR?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Using scanf, and then I can add sum plus PTR plus I star, or I can write PTR plus I. Understood it or not?
Yes, sir.
My
Yes, sir.
size of the array is fixed or it varies during execution. Whatever value of n I give, accordingly it proceeds.
Whatever value of n is.
Whatever the value of n.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is a dynamic allocation. I could have written calloc also. If you look at, instead of malloc, if I write on calloc, the syntax is more or less same. Only a little bit difference is here. It takes two parameters. It takes two parameters, and the first one is basically the number, and second one is size. If first one is number and second one is the size, and if I write down here 5 and 2, So how many bytes will be allocated?
10.
10.
If I write down 20 and here let's say 4, how many size?
80.
How many bytes? And so basically it is given like this: how many and what is the size. This is basically the data type and this is basically number of. Another point is in Malloc, all memories which are allocated will be initialized to 0. That happens in contiguous allocation. It doesn't happen in Malloc. All contents will be initialized to. Had I been done this using Malloc, this should have been initialized to. क्या होता है? यहाँ मैंने यस यहाँ मैंने Malloc नहीं लिख के मैंने इधर लिख देता क्या चीज ओह मैंने इधर क्या लिख देता यहाँ Malloc नहीं लिख के मैंने इधर Malloc लिख देता ये नहीं लिख के यहाँ लिखता n कॉमा साइज ऑफ int ये क्या हो जाता all things have been initialized to 0 or not, then you can overwrite onto that. Understood the difference between Malloc and Malloc?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Why not?
सर ये साइज ऑफ इंट तो पहले समझ में नहीं आया, उसके बाद मैलॉक थोड़ा बहुत समझ आया.
Size of is basically a function or operator. It's an operator. Size of int will give the size of integer with respect to memory bytes. If an integer takes 4 bytes, what it returns?
4.
अरे तुम लोग बोल रहे हो जो पूछ रहे हो यही तो तुम्हारा गलती है. तुम you'll ask a question when I say something and ask you don't say understood or not. कैसे समझाऊं मैं पूछ रहा हूं. If size of int returns size of the integer, that is the number of bytes it takes in the memory. If integer takes 4 bytes, it should return 4. Then I'm asking you understood or not?
Yes, sir.
And then if you don't say yes, then how can I proceed to explain? So that is the case here. And in case of Malloc, as I told, it takes 2 parameters. One is the number. I wrote let's say 10. Then I wrote let's say size of int. Size of int will return let's say 2. How many bytes will be allocated? 10 number of 2 byte space. 10 number of 2 byte space means 20 bytes or not? And it returns the starting address. When starting address I need to do a casting. So then I can do it in a 2-dimensional array where each number of column is number of row is variable, size of each row is 5, number of row is variable. I can declare a pointer star of a bracket 5. What does it mean? This is a single pointer or 5 pointer?
5 pointers.
No.
5 pointers.
यही तो गलती है.
Single pointer.
1 pointer. ब्रैकेट नहीं करने से क्या होता है? 5 number of pointers. This is a 1 pointer. But this single pointer. Yeah. Look at this. The single pointer. A is pointing to how many integers?
5.
5 integers. So if it is pointing to 5 integers, look at this. The number of rows I asked, let's say I require, let's say 20 rows. A should be initialized to 5 element integers. Malloc, n into 5 into size of integer. Suppose size of integer is 2 bytes. Suppose size of integer is 2 bytes. I gave n equal to 10. How many bytes will be allocated?
100.
Out of this 100 bytes, is it how many rows?
10
rows.
Each row has how many integer?
5.
And each integer takes how many bytes?
2.
So now 100 bytes are allocated. This is basically the void address, but converted to address to 1 integer or 5 integer.
5 integer.
So A is pointing to address of 5 integer. So elements of this can be accessed the way we access the two-dimensional array by A of ij like this. I can access all elements by writing A of ij. I can add it and find out the total sum here. Understood? थोड़ा बहुत डिफिकल्ट होगा, घर पे प्रैक्टिस करके कर लिया करो. Then the last
for the previous slide one.
Sir, previous.
ये नहीं, ये चीज
इससे पहले वाला
इससे पहले वाला, ये चीज
ये तो सेम क्वेश्चन
सर इससे भी पहले, इससे भी पहले. हाँ सर.
हो गया.
सर इसमें
Yes, sir.
फ्री पीटीआर क्या है सर?
फ्री पीटीआर इसलिए यूज करते हैं, इफ यू डू नॉट यूज इट एट द एंड ऑल दिस विल बी मेड फ्री. सो इफ आई राइट डाउन दिस फ्री, इफ आई मेक दिस सॉरी, if I make it free, what will happen? If I make it free, the memory which was allocated at the beginning, ये जो memory allocate हुआ था ये को, that will be made free. This will no more be allocated with the process, so it will be given to the OS. OS can reuse it for other purposes. Understood it?
Yes sir. Okay sir.
Okay. ये छोड़ दो अभी.
सर
हाँ बोलो.
सर वो वाला असाइन जो किए थे वो वाला समझ नहीं आया सर, वो मेलॉक वाला जो असाइन किए थे.
Pointer to 5 element.
हाँ.
वो समझ में नहीं आएगा if you have not done earlier that program when I was discussing about pointer to 5 element. वो अगर आरए में नहीं किया हुआ तो समझ में नहीं आएगा. ठीक है, प्रैक्टिस करो. क्लास इस बार टाइम नहीं मिला समझाने के लिए और तो नहीं मिलेगा. जितने समझे समझे. लास्ट सम एडिशनल फीचर्स. हाँ
सर वो आज तो लास्ट क्लास था, उसके बाद सर एंसम्स भी आ रहा था. सर पीडीएफ थोड़ा भेज देते तो सर अच्छा होता.
हाँ मैं देखूंगा पीडीएफ. पहले क्लास तो करो.
सर ये मैलॉक फंक्शन वाला
25 को तो सर कंप्यूटर का है, तो सर अभी टाइम भी सर कम है.
20 सेकंड क्विज़ है तो सर उससे पहले बस भेज दीजिएगा सर.
ये सर पीडीएफ सर जितना चैप्टर का
Now, bitwise operators. In a bitwise operator, basically logical operations takes place. When I say logical operators are and, or, not, negate, XOR, left shift and right shifts. If I say we have a and another B, and A is 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, and B has a value, let me say 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. If I do a logical AND operation, these two, so logically these two bits will become 1, 0 become 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1 like this. Or operator will 1, 0 will become 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. When I go for XOR, if both the bits are 1, output will be 0. If both the bits are 0, output will be 0. When I go for a complement, basically negation of A, if A is a data, negation means every bit will be complemented, 1 will be converted to 0, 0 will be converted to 1. When I go for a left shift operations, if I write down left shift 2, this number will be shifted 2 times towards left. If I write down right shift 3, number will be right shifted 3 times. So these are the logical operator. You can practice it in today's lab, taking some variables. I'm giving one example. Unsigned int A60, whose binary representation is this. Unsigned int B, whose binary representation is this. And C is 0. If C equal to A and B, the value will be, ये क्या होगा 0, 0, 0, 1 क्या होगा AND में?
0.
This will be 0, 0, this will be 1, 1, rest all will be 0. It will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. And the value is 12. If you want to display, the value 12 will be displayed. I can do a OR operation between A and B. So OR operation, this will become 1, this 1, this 1, this is 1, this is 1. So this will be 0 and this will be 0, rest all will be 1. And if you display it, the value 61 will be displayed. You can do A XOR with B. A XOR. If both the bits are 0, 0, output will be 0. If both the bits are 1, 1, then output is 1. Output is 0, which you have studied. And we can store it in C. Then not of A is basically one's complement of A. Then I can left shift the number A by 2 times, it becomes 240. If I left shift once, it will be twice the number 120. Again left shift, twice the number 120 become 240. If I right shift 2 times, the value of A was 60, will be divided by 2, become 30. Again right shift 2, divided by again 2, become 15. So these are basically bitwise operators. Try to write down this program and test all these values. Macros I already discussed. Last only type def. Type def is basically used to shortening the data types. Suppose I have a data type. Look at the data type here. Look at the data type. I am writing unsigned long int for a number. We define the variable unsigned long int, variable 1 and 2. It's a very long declarations. I can write type def and unsigned long int. I wrote it as 2 words. I write it 2 words. So now what I'll do, I'll write down 2 words. var1, var2, variable 1 will be unsigned long int. This will also be unsigned long int. So type def is used basically for a replacement of a data types. Even if I am writing int or let's say unsigned long int, I'll write down unsigned long int u, here type def. Unsigned long int, uli. I can declare uli, variable 1, variable 2. Then variable 1 will become an unsigned long integer. This will also become a unsigned long integer. So data type, if you do not like this type of writing unsigned long int, you write a shorter format by giving a name to this. Whatever name you have given, if you write this, the variable will be unsigned long int and variable 2 will also be unsigned long int. So this is a type def and possibly this is the end of the whole course. Today, the program which I told, not macro, this bitwise operator you do, and rest malloc function you do, and prior to that also I discussed union, some example, you do it and test it. Okay, I'll come to your class after half an hour to clarify your doubts. Okay.
Sir, can you please show the page which contains the definition of malloc and calloc?
I'm coming to that, but let me. So now you enter to your breakout room, but before that, if anyone wants to see that slide, let me show. Enable कर दिया तो मुझे.
हाँ सर कर दीजिए.